In the World Chess Candidates Championship are Giri Svidler, Anand Nakamura, Topalov versus Karyakin, and Aronian versus Caruana. If we're a little time pressure here, maybe I'll wait till this game is over to really go into detail, guys. Chess players have a lot of money. Well, only like 5 of them. Knight takes d5, bishop takes d5. We've got the d5 square temporarily. Now, we could take with the pawn here. We have a kind of spatial advantage. But, I mean, I think the classical move would be to take with the queen. Problem is that black has knight f6. I'm going to have to, like, let him, contest the d5 square. If he chooses to do that. I mean, he's got to defend d6. He went to knight e5. This move is also, I guess, okay for black. And unfortunately, well, we do have a beautiful queen on d5, guys, but not a whole lot to do here. What am I going to do? King g2? Move the knight away, leave that knight on e5. Looks kind of risky. I could do it. Maybe it's not too crazy. Pretty radical. Play knight d2 and try to challenge his... I don't know. I'm still a tiny bit better here after knight takes e5. He can't just hang a pawn. Okay, this is the nature of what I played. I mean, bishop e2. Well, this is hanging a pawn. So I think try and just overlook that. Obviously, he has to take with the pawn, and he's a little bit bad bishop, but black should be basically okay there. The nature of this setup, like knight f3, knight c3, it's pretty like against the Peerts. It's pretty minimalistic, and you don't really have... you have to play like Karpov to get anything serious. Andy Quibbler challenge... Yeah, he asked me if I want to play 5-2. Andy, I do play 5-2. So you can join the challenges if you want to. So Giri Svidler, just before we continue, I just want to give you guys a rundown. You can challenge me. Giri Svidler looks like it will be kind of like this tightest game. Both playing very well and very solidly. Giri, okay, a little more aggressive than Svidler. I think that game is kind of a toss-up. Svidler with a +1 score in their personal record. Obviously, Giri improving. They haven't played that many times. I think that's a wash. Anand Nakamura is interesting because I wasn't aware. I mean, I knew Anand had a minus score against Naka, but I wasn't aware of how insanely lopsided it is. You guys realized that, okay, it gets even worse when you calculate blitz and rapid games, but Nakamura is +6 against Anand in classical games, +6, and he's only lost once, which was, I think, relatively recently. That's crazy. I mean, how the heck... So it's like Anand just can't play against Nakamura at all. He just can't play. There's a slight difference that Nakamura is off to a kind of bad start, but then again, Anand is not that consistent here either. Nakamura, I guess, with black is a slight favorite with this crushing personal score against Anand. And then, despite his bad start here, Topalov against Karyakin is +4. But most of those games were a long time ago. Karyakin's gotten better. I guess, with Topalov playing so badly now, it's like a complete coin flip for that game with Topalov being white. And Arodi and Caruana, probably the most interesting game, important as far as the tournament goes. Of course, Topalov beating Karyakin would be huge, but that would really change the dynamics. But Aronian versus Caruana, very important game. Aronian's +2 against Caruana. And with his solid style, I could see last time they played, Aronian ground him down in an ending in very convincing fashion. The last time they played when Aronian was white, it looked like kind of standard Aronian grind down with no counterplay for Caruana at all. So I think Aronian's a favorite there. Those games are important to watch. And the least interesting is probably Giri Svidler, which will probably be a draw. I wouldn't be surprised if Svidler draws most of his games in the tournament. Okay, guys, back to the games. So Andy Quibbler's up to 24.55. We're going to play down in order. It is from top to bottom. For a while, I wasn't sure about that, the challenges being in top to bottom. I think sometimes people would drop off the list, and then it would get confusing. But we have established that it is top to bottom. Okay, Werenfeld playing white. He's e4. He's been waiting patiently here to play a game today. Werenfeld white. I don't know what to play. Yesterday I played e5, I believe. We'll play the Pierts. So, what's up, guys? What do you think about the rundown of the games today? Aroni and Caruana, very important for the how to say, like, the thread of the tournament, basically. What happens in that game? Could Caruana possibly win a game, for the first time? Could Aronian win and, like, get the lead along with Karyakin? At this point, in my opinion, I have to change based on the way the first rounds went. My original take was that Caruana was favorite, Aronian second. But with Aronian playing more steadily, Caruana without a win, I'm kind of like shifting my, Now, Karyakin is +2, and you can't argue I was wrong about Karyakin. He's a big threat in this tournament. So he's been upgraded hugely. I would have the like front runners pretty much like, in my opinion, probably Aronian, Karyakin, and Caruana in that order. Despite Karyakin being +2, it's a 14-round tournament. One win, isn't that significant yet. Overall playing strength is probably the most important factor. So I still think Aronian is my favorite now, with Karyakin jutting up into second place and Caruana hanging in there. Probably like the third most dangerous player. But Caruana has yet to find his form. I mean, not winning yesterday has got to be heartbreaking for Caruana. I mean, he played steadily in the first 3 rounds. He has this win on a silver platter and throws it away. That's like, that's very hard to get over psychologically. It was just gift wrapped, here, have a free point, and he doesn't take it. It's like, how are you going to win if you can't win that game? You think to yourself, this is how you think to yourself after a game like that. Who am I going to beat if I can't win a full piece up against Topalov in this tournament? Who am I going to beat? Very, very hard for Caruana psychologically after that, guys. Andy Cleveler says Spindler's going to win. Well, I think we can safely say Spindler has a better chance than Topalov and Nakamura at this point. I don't know, Andy. I think you like him, and I like him too, but he's just not enough of a killer. You got to be mean to win a tournament like this. A little bit mean. Aronian's not really mean either. Maybe that's why he never did win anything like this. Anand's not mean, but he's just got the photographic memory, and he's a genius, So, if you've got a photographic memory and you're a genius, you don't really need to be mean. Okay, anyway, so classical Pierts. Now I'm black in a classical Pierts. All right, we're gonna play kind of similar to our first game with A6. Now we're gonna play B6. B6 is a little more stable. It doesn't weaken the structure as much as my favorite St. George defense with A6 and B5. Chess first slide. I don't know if it's if he's actually like clinically been diagnosed as having a photographic memory, but that's the description that I've heard other grandmasters basically describing Anand's memory of opening variations. So this is just an off-the-cuff kind of diagnosis that I've heard from multiple, players close to Anand. Maybe encyclopedic would be a better term than photographic. He swallowed an opening encyclopedia when he was like 19. And it digested pretty well. Now e5. Here I can simply take. Knight takes e5, or pawn takes e5. Yeah, I think that takes is okay. We obviously could play other moves as well. Technically, a photographic memory doesn't exist in the traditionally defined sense. Thank you, Corrupt Bishop. But you know, we're not a clinical expert on photographic memory. I don't know how else to describe it. So he's just legendary in his knowledge of the openings. Marin Khatum says, Ogiri is the only one capable of drawing those games, losing one game in an entire year, playing only elite events. Pretty good for a 20-year-old. Yeah, I talked about this earlier. I mean, Giri seems like he's the strongest player in terms of actually gaining rating points. He's, you know, he just always gains rating points every single tournament he plays in. It's sort of amazing. But, you know, he also needs to start focusing on actually just winning tournaments. So here, this could be a little bit tricky. I guess Knight G4. Knight G4. I don't, you know, see a problem with it. Yeah. But Werenfeld, I think you played an interesting way here. I don't know if I have an alternative to D takes E5. I guess I could play almost anything. Knight D7. White setup. Not that ambitious. I mean, I've played this line with white pretty much all my career, and I never really took E5 seriously. So, I mean, when I'm sitting on the white side of the position, I never really thought, oh wow, E5 looks really good, I'm gonna do that. But maybe I was mistaken. Maybe it is good. It looks like the E5 pawn is pretty weak. I mean, I have some weaknesses. I've got to watch the long diagonal, but white probably has some kind of compensation here. But I still think that I got to go for the pawn on E5. He never gains rating points when he plays people subs. Yeah, this is an important point, Andy Quibbler, about ratings. And there is this kind of thing that's been going on forever, is basically for a very long time. There are these sort of chess-like rating cliques, you know. Once you get into a certain elite group, you just keep playing that elite group over and over and over again. And basically, Giri never plays anyone, and a lot of these guys never play anyone under like 2,600. So, I mean, you know, it's pretty hard when you go to an open, like the Reykjavik Open, and you're Niels Grandelius, and you play like a 2,100 in the first round, or 2,200, and you lose. We've all been there. We've played in a Swiss system. We played someone 400 points lower, and we lost. That doesn't happen to these people, you know. They don't play in those kind of tournaments where they ever have to play anybody, you know, lower rated than, you know, 100 or 150, or max 200 points lower than them. So they're kind of like protected. Their ratings are sort of protected. And this, I don't think, is the healthiest thing for the rating system. To have some players where the ratings are like basically protected all the time. But, you know, it's not really possible to avoid it. Yeah, so it's like an exclusive rating club. And if you put these people, you know, if you forced all of these guys to play just Swiss system tournaments, obviously most of them would lose a lot of rating points, because they'd have to like lose and draw occasionally to players who are rated like 2,500. Richard Rapport is like 27-22. He's playing in the Reykjavik Open. There's a guy who's not afraid to risk his rating, you know, and I think his rating is more credible than most, because he's playing 2,200 players, you know, and he's 27-22, and he's still occasionally losing, if I can find the words. Rapport is like occasionally dropping games to 2,200 players and still maintaining a 2,700 rating. I think that's pretty impressive, you know, indicative of somebody's like absolute strength. All right, guys, I'm going to try to pick off this pawn on E5, but how to do it? Yeah, I wanted to play bishop B7, but we can play E6, sack a pawn to mess up my pawn structure. So I guess no matter what I do, there's some kind of counterplay for Werenfeld here. Maybe bishop F5 is interesting. I could go bishop E6, bishop F5. I just want to connect my rooks. This is a Rapport game, no lie. Yeah, well, I respect those players who are not afraid to play in open tournaments, and Ivan Chuk was always lower rated than the other guys. He's always like 27-30 because he's playing in all kinds of open tournaments and stuff like that. The other players are protecting their ratings, so. I don't know, guys. I still think Aronian is my pick, but he hasn't been able to do it yet. Last time Anand won the tournament, it might happen again, but I still think Aronian on paper is not only my favorite person in the candidates, but I still think objectively, at this moment now, with a point ahead of an average score, I think he's a slight favorite to take it down. E4, C5, knight A3, G. Yeah, Rapport plays crazy things. He's a little eccentric. You guys know that I crushed him in like 23 moves, right? That was a great game. That was a tournament where he made his final GM norm, by the way. And yours truly played a pretty nice 23 move Rapport destruction. The only time we ever played. This was like 5 years ago. But he was already strong. He was already making his final GM norm in that tournament. So it wasn't like I beat him when he was 2200. I mean, the dude was already very, very strong. All right, guys. So we're going to take this pawn off. Trade the bishop. Give white an isolated pawn on d3. Spinal Tap Chess, are you here? Wow, welcome, man. I haven't seen you. How can you be 2700 and lose? You can be a real 2700s lose, dude, to 2200s. The real 2700s who protect their ratings. That's reality, I mean, you do lose. How does Fabiano Caruana not win a game where he's... How can you be 2800 and not win when you're up a piece? Can you explain that to me, Spinal Tap Chess? Maybe, the ratings are a little bit, like, inaccurate. Ratings are overrated, basically. So here we go. It's like we're going to end up a pawn up here. We are a pawn up. But we're going to keep that pawn up. Whatever happens, we've got... What's the best way to do this now? Take on d3, take on b2. It's hard to say. Go back to c6. If I go back to c6, he plays knight d5. Wow, Werenfeld putting up a fight today. Take. I don't really want to let him on the 7th. Karyakin has Topalov today. Yeah. And Topalov has the plus score, but as I was saying earlier, guys, Karyakin has done better in the last years against Topalov. They've played many times. Karyakin is a prodigy. He's like one of the youngest ever grandmasters, right? So he's played some of these players. Like Giri hasn't played almost anybody very many games. Whereas like Karyakin's played like 1,000,000 games with everyone, despite being young, because he he's been a prodigy forever. I mean, basically. So there's a big difference there. Karyakin and Giri maybe not that different in age, but in chess terms, Karyakin's like a seasoned grandmaster. Look at the difference that creates. But I think that's a key game, Topalov versus Karyakin. Topalov doesn't know where he is in this tournament. I mean, look, he's got a point out of 4 by a miracle. He should have half a point out of 4. He's been totally, out of it. He failed to find bishop takes f2 against Anand. It's been a disaster for Topalov. So he's in bad shape, but he does have a plus score, a solid +2 score against... Karyakin hasn't been that big a problem for him, basically, in the games they've played, is what I'm trying to say. So we'll see. But, I mean, obviously Karyakin will be pumped up and, playing his best. most people, raise their game when they start, doing really well in a tournament like this. So we could see Karyakin run away with the tournament, maybe. It wouldn't be the first tournament he won. As I said, he's a veritable old man, chess-wise, despite being relatively young. So what am I doing here? I guess we're going to just start pushing some pawns. So we'll have to give up one on the king's side. I don't think I should do that. Alright guys, tough game, Werenfeld. You put up a lot of fight today. I think this is one of the closest games Werenfeld's played against me. He's improving. I was actually seriously worried this might be, difficult to win when we first reached the end game. So, good progress, Werenfeld. The Saddest Troll said the ratings are an instrument for pairings and stuff. The goal is to win, yeah. That's totally got to be the point. A lot of people lose concept. I lose concept. My problem is that sometimes I'm more afraid of losing than I am wanting to win, and I think a lot of players put more importance on their rating than they do on actually winning tournaments. So it's all about where your priorities should lie. Okay, guys. Wow, is this right? Was Nedja Labuta in the list here? I didn't notice him before. I hope the list isn't doing weird tricks on me, but anyway. Okay, so Nedja Labuta, Nedja Labuta. It's one of these very hard Hungarian names for me to pronounce. I can live here forever. I'm not going to be able to say this properly. It just doesn't come out. Nedja Labuta. Alright. Anand won the candidates at +3. Karyakin will have +3. Karyakin has a long way to go, man, but I'm thankful that it's a double round robin tournament because it is fair. It would be a tragedy, and nothing would surprise me if they didn't organize something like this to be a single round robin. That would be great. If this was like a single round robin game 60 tournament, which it'll probably degenerate to in about 5 years, then Hikaru would be like the ice cold favorite. If chess degenerates to the point where the candidates tournament is a game 60 single round robin, then Nakamura becomes the favorite to be the world champion. But thanks to heaven that it's not degenerated that far yet. This is like a game I played in the Hungarian Team Championship last year. A pretty weird line for white. Well, it's kind of like a Karo Khan type of thing. Should I get the bishop outside the pawn chain with bishop f5? Then he plays knight h4. I guess I play bishop e6 there. Andy Quibbler, I don't know what your list says, but you're next. Let me see. No, it's all messed up. Filthy Bishop is next. Then you. So I don't know, guys. The jury is out on this list thing. But Andy Quibbler, you weren't at the top. I'm not sure if you should be next or next to next, but it's impossible. I wasn't sure where Nedja Labuta came from, but I didn't actually look through every single player. But I don't think you guys can see my list from over there. Now, bishop f4. This is extremely tedious. It makes you not want to play the King's Indian. I think that Nakamura, if he likes the King's Indian, should play the King's Indian, but you really have to learn it. You can't play 20 openings in the King's Indian. He got crushed by Kramnik, hasn't really played the King's Indian since that. But, I think there are certain openings they pay back, how much work you put into them. So they're low maintenance openings, they're high maintenance openings. Nakamura tried to play the Queen's Indian. Dude, I don't know why he's playing the Queen's Indian and stuff like that. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Nakamura should try to play sharp openings. Use his abilities, his skills to his advantage. I don't know why he's playing the English opening, the French defense, the Queen's Indian. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like he's trying to compensate for something instead of just playing what's natural and suits his style. So if Hikaru wants to play these very solid openings, these very solid, very positional openings in random events, I think that's a great idea. But I don't think he should be doing it in like the most important tournament in his life, I don't think he should be playing the Queen's Indian in the most important tournament in his life. He should be playing the most aggressive thing he can get. But he has to know it, had to have studied it, Maybe he studied the Queen's Indian for the last 6 months. Bad idea, Someone pointed out that Karyakin's like the biggest expert in the Queen's Indian nowadays. There's a tournament on chess.com which will feature Carlsen. They will play a number of time controls, including 1 minute. It sounds like you're almost like a shill for chess.com or something, Marinka. Is it like an infomercial, or you're just really a big fan of chess.com? So, Rookie 8, this is leechess.org. Yeah, there seems to be some kind of semi-partnership going on with chess.com and the World Chess. The dubious shadow organization that is World Chess. Rookie 8. Marinka said, haha, no follow for the previous. Yeah, the 1 minute tournament, it's kind of like a $1 free roll on PokerStars.com. It has the same level of... I think that chess.com is probably the site that's most proliferated with computer cheaters of any like website that I've played on, as far as feeling like a lot of people are using computers to cheat. So I don't think I'd want to play like a tournament for prizes on the internet, period. But if I did, I'd probably feel a little better if it was on like Lee Chess or chess, or like Internet Chess Club or Play Chess or something, where they have like some kind of controls in effect to like stop people from using computers. Yeah, forget about it, man. Okay, 1 minute, yeah, you can play 1 minute without the computers. I don't play 1 minute. I don't think it's like real chess. It's another thing. It is chess technically, but whatever. It's entertainment. But it's kind of, I think it's a kind of insult to chess. So, high quality chess created at the 1 minute time control. I think it's maybe good as a training mechanism, to learn your tactics, but I don't think I'd want to watch a 1 minute tournament. To see like grandmasters hang pieces and stuff, or what? What's the point exactly? Not sure. So, okay, we can play e5, break the center. Andy Quibbler says he plays on every site, but I have 4,000 games here, 50 games on chess.com. Yeah, I probably have 10 games on chess.com. In those 10 games, I felt I played like probably 4 computers. I was like, all right, that's enough of this. I'm good, man. I don't need this frustration, so. Yeah, not a fan of playing, people using their computers. And I have some experience working for chess sites, like actually detecting computers. It was quite a while ago, but I have a little bit of experience, so I'm pretty savvy, about kind of knowing when my opponent is likely to be using a computer. I don't like to just accuse everybody, because some people are really paranoid and they just, every time they lose a game, they're accusing their opponent of being a computer. But I didn't feel very secure when I played those games on chess.com. And And, you know, I think... Well, anyway, I don't know. Just not my favorite place to play. Knight takes e5. Naka is considered number 1 in this time control, if you call it a time control. Carlsen is probably an underdog. 1 minute chess is about tactics and mouse clicking skills. I don't think that's Carlsen's forte, you know. He is fast, he's an excellent rapid player, but, you know, I guess he's getting paid to do it. And he's very possibly going to lose. But anyway, you know, he can laugh it off if he loses to Nakamura in a 1 minute tournament. Nobody's going to hold it against him. So it's purely for entertainment value. Carlsen's not going to lose his reputation by losing, you know, in 1 minute to Nakamura. Mouse clicking 101 was not a class I attended at Chess University. Alright guys, Nedja Labuta here. We are both using a lot of time in this game. My a5 pawn is a bit of a nuisance. I guess I should play knight c4. Which knight c4 though? This one. Kind of awkward. He's got the 2 bishops. This one not doing a whole lot, you know, which is kind of my whole positional strategy here, but my 2 knights are now depending on each other, you know. So what do you do, guys, when you're facing the bishop pair? It's recommended that you try to trade one off. And the 2 knights combination against bishop and knight is quite frequently good. Here he played knight to there. What is the threat? Nothing, just centralizing. He's got b3, and that's okay. I suppose I'll have to go back to b6. Well, he's gotten really low on time. He's worse than me. I think I know who this is. It's a Hungarian master, guys. But he seems to be worse than me with the clock. Okay, it's an increment, but structurally, I guess I like black a little bit here. We could kick him out with b6. Whew. Thought I lost a piece for a second, then I realized, oh, I do have a square for that guy. But I think I made an error. Maybe not. But Nella Jabuta, very how to describe it? He's very strong-willed. He really wants to win. You know, he's very competitive. Where am I going here? It wasn't really my intention to do this, but we've got the file. My knight doesn't get trapped or something. He doesn't really have a good outpost. Maybe it doesn't need one. The white bishop is... So we can go after a pawn here. Yeah. Well, we've got check. This is strong, I guess. Rook a2. Knight here. What else can I do besides that? Take the pawn at any time. Looks like this outside pawn should be worth something. He saw that. Wow. Stopping 95. Preparing rook d. Okay, rook d1. All right, thank you, Nella Jabuta. Filthy Bishop, sorry you had to wait there, Andy Quibbler. I don't know what happened, man. Rapport is no chump. Rothbard is a creative player. I respect that. So, Andy Quibbler next in line. We've got Filthy Bishop here. Thanks for the game, Nelijabuta. We played a couple games off stream with Nelijabuta yesterday, and both were drawn. He's pretty solid. Those were blitz games. Filthy Bishop, is this the same game we played yesterday? Was it you? Was it you I played yesterday? I didn't remember. Did I pick the same opening against the same opponent 2 days in a row? Really? Or is it just my hallucination? Am I just hallucinating that it was Filthy Bishop? Maybe it was a different player. Yeah, okay. I guess I have to play knight on b to d7. This isn't the best setup for black, but it's okay. We normally don't like to block the bishop on c8 in this variation. You guys with your 1 minute chess, man. Yeah, it's really... I only hope that 1 minute chess doesn't like become like fully sponsored Olympic sport or something. I don't know. I don't mean to spoil your fun, but I can't take that seriously. Larry Christensen, he's a relatively old grandmaster who is a big fan of 1 minute. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with your age, just I think your inclinations about the game. Tactical players, I think. You know, Larry's a very tactical player, almost entirely tactics. Endgame technique is good too, but he thinks about the game in a very tactical way. This kind of players are going to be gravitating more toward hyper fast time controls. Nakamura, Larry Christensen, this combinative, minded players. I don't think like Aronian would be like a great 1 minute player, for example. I'm sure he's competent, but Kamsky can play, I'm sure, but these positionally minded players are going to have a harder time with the hyper fast time control. G3 here. I think there's some problems with G3. The first problem is the C4 pawn. As in many English openings and whatnot, when you fianchetto the C4 pawn, like in the fianchetto King's Indian, that pawn becomes a problematic point to defend. The other thing is that fianchettoing here, I mean, maybe bishop h3 is an idea, actually. But fianchettoing is sort of a dead concept in the structure against the pawn on c6. So yesterday we had a game in this line where white, in the same kind of structure played e3, which is pretty standard. I kind of like the setup that Ippishin has played with white, where you exchange queens like this. But if you want to play it aggressively, I think I saw Ippishin do this, where I've tried it with white and blitz. You can do basically like a really quick, you try to do like a really quick like g4 and rook g1 and g5 and castle queenside and try to play like a very aggressive setup. You need to do something a little more dynamic. Knight c5 or knight b6? That's a good question. I never really liked knights on b6, but I can induce him to maybe weaken his structure a little bit if I play knight b6. Shouldn't really matter. I think c5 is just a superior square for the knight. We might have knight e4 in some positions. This also, well, this stops him from playing bishop h3 momentarily, which would be probably not a bad exchange for white. Yeah, let's hope that the candidates tournament doesn't come down to a bullet chest tiebreak, guys. My nightmare is that Nakamura would somehow tie for first and win the tournament with a rapid or blitz tiebreak. I hope the thing doesn't get decided by that. Hopefully, there's a clear winner before we get to any kind of tiebreak situation. I'm happy with whoever wins. I really don't want it to be Anand. I said that Anand will do better than people projected, but that doesn't mean I'm rooting for Anand. I was rooting for my own prediction to come true, but I'm not actually rooting for Anand to do well. I was disappointed he was the challenger the last 2 times. I thought he has 0 chance against Carlsen. I mean, here's a guy who has -6 against Nakamura. How the heck is he going to beat Magnus Carlsen in a match? Answer me that question. It doesn't make any sense at all. Nakamura is not even the best player in the world, and Anand can't even manage better than -6 in classical time controls. Is some kind of whammy or what? I mean, maybe Anand just has problems with young players. He gets nervous or can't handle the younger players. I don't know. He has a terrible record against both Carlsen and Nakamura. I was thinking here knight e4. It's kind of gone after that bishop, but first we'll play bishop e6. Svidler Karyakin. If Svidler Karyakin are your picks, you're going with the underdogs. You're going to get a good payday. If you picked for the bifecta, like it's a horse race or whatever, if you did a 1-2 ticket with Karyakin and Svidler taking the tournament, and you're going to be a very rich man if you bet more than $5,000 or so to pick a perfect Karyakin Svidler combination. I would imagine you could reel in the dough on a betting site. That's pretty long shot, but kudos if you can get it right. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be interesting. Nobody's out. Even Topalov has a chance to come back. I don't think so, though. I don't think it's very likely to happen. What about a4 now? Does that nearly win by force? Not winning by force. a4, b4. a4, b4, knight e4. And then rook c1. And I take his guy off. Not that clear, actually. I'm tempted to play knight e4, I guess. I appreciate rooting for the underdog. The stream went down for you. Like in Tata Steel, with the 2 Chinese play, they do blitz opening and finish the game 1 hour. Yeah, well, I think very well this is a major practical part of their training, and not a bad idea. I myself need to play faster. But it's easier when you started chess and the standard time control is 90 minutes for the game. I mean, when I started, there was a lot more time. For these Chinese grandmasters you're talking about, they basically started in the last 10 years, and all standard tournaments are getting to the point where they're fast time controls. So standard practice should be to play very quickly. Whereas in my generation, you had 40 moves for 2 hours and a lot of time to ponder the possibilities. Knight d2. We've got the bishop pair. Got the a4 kind of massage there at some point. I'm not sure when we want to do it, but we can also throw in bishop e4. Not sure I want to do that, though. I mean, it might actually chase his knight to e4, c3, where it's fairly relevant. Now, a4 looks okay. 90 minutes, meaning 45 minutes each. No, I mean 90 minutes. Well, what's the standard time control now? It's 40 moves in 90 minutes. No, that means like not 45 minutes each. I mean 90 minutes each. 45 minutes is really fast. That won't qualify as like an international. I don't think that would qualify as a standard rated tournament, even now. So FIDE used to be very strict about rating qualifications for like international ratings and stuff. That's slowly going out the window. It's much easier to make international titles and whatnot without leaving your home country, without playing longer games. But okay, guys, Bishop E7. This position is very promising for me. What are you guys talking about? Ding Liren and Wei Yi. Yeah, I mean, both very strong players. But the chess world has changed a lot as the time controls get faster. Practicality rules. I mean, that's why Carlsen is actually, maybe why Carlsen is world champion. He's extremely smart practically. One of the reasons why he's world champion, I think his practical sense is very, very high. Okay, so knight to c3, we've got to take, basically. I mean, a3 closes it up too much. Then we play bishop b4. I don't know why I'm tanking so long here. Like I'm worried about knight a2 or something. That's crazy. Knight a2 may be a very bad move. It could actually get his knight dominated with bishop d2, for example. Would be nice to use these central pawns somehow. I mean, to play like f5 and e4 at some point, but just haven't found the moment for it. And now he's back again. Well, that's fine. Fine by me. Speaking of that, I could play f5. I could definitely give up my bishop on e6 and go into opposite color bishop position, but I'm not gonna commit to that yet. We might be able to use these pawns, open the position for both bishops, and yeah, I mean, like most chess players, I've won more games with the advantage of the bishop pair than probably anything else strategically in chess. Filthy bishop. Filthy bishop. I'm gonna play it. f5. Try to create some problems. Your knight doesn't have a real secure outpost right now. Got the pawn at b3 you have to worry about. And now knight d2. So you want to go to f3, I guess. That's fine. This is a very unpleasant position for white. I don't want to say like concretely lost, but getting there, possibly lost. Too difficult to fight against the bishop pair with this pawn weakness on b3 and two open files. My king is closer to the center. It looks pretty bad for white. And I don't know, this exchange and this pawn on b3 is going to be. Actually, that was possibly a blunder. Maybe I could have just taken on a1 and played e4, but he has knight d4 and knight takes e6 check, so I don't win a piece or anything. I was focusing on this pawn on b3, basically, looking at this as a pretty good target. But we can slowly, get our king into the center at some point. And I don't see white having a whole lot of counterplay here. So I think this is as good a time to start as any. King b6. Kind of meander my way down in here. Now, that's kind of a problem. We're going to have to take some kind of measures. He wants to play b4 check. All right. Rook a2. Filthy Bishop hanging on. Great interview with Karyakin from 2013 in German. Chess Base. By the way, guys, on Chess Base, there was finally someone who published like a really, I thought, good analysis of the games thus far. Grandmaster John Spielman wrote an article for Chess Base, which is the only like really credible analysis I've seen so far. Not, you know, by a really strong professional grandmaster, by the way. So you might want to check that out. I don't have any affiliation with Play Chess or Chess Base. I just respect John Spielman, and I think he did a good job writing an analysis of some what's going on about. It's not a video; it's a written analysis. But if you want to check that out, Spielman knows what he's talking about. He had some good insights, and I think you know, he agreed with me on one important concept, which was what I said, that Anand should not be underestimated. And he didn't understand. I don't understand why the odds makers or whatever were kind of dissing Anand. So I was interested to see, you know, a solid like player like John Spielman agreeing with me on that point. You know, that Anand was getting basically the shitty end of the stick from these people who are handicapping the tournament or whatever. Okay, he just lost a game, whatever, but he's there, man. He won a game already. He's not going to roll over and die. He won the last two. And Spielman was directly questioning how they could, you know, come up with this, you know, kind of idea that Anand wasn't like a really serious factor there. And I agree. So we have yet a lot to see, but there are certain mysteries, you know, like why is Anand's score against Nakamura so horrible, you know? There's a lot of interpersonal scores that, you know, are like they are for various reasons, but kind of inexplicable, really. Anand's score against Nakamura is just unbelievable bad. And I'd like to know if anybody has any info, if anyone's ever like really written about that subject. I'd like to see. I'd really like to see, you know, some insight on that. So why don't we just try to trade rooks here? What about this ending? Even if he got ops color bishops, I would think that I would have chances to win this. But we're going to try to avoid that if possible. So, wow, that's the longest, I think, comment ever on the stream, guys. Hari Shiva with a mammoth comment in the stream. It's Google Translate. Okay. I thought that was like a personal comment. Okay. Okay, so this is... His father is a fanatic. Yeah, well, I met his father, and I wouldn't compare him to Rustam Kamsky. That's not really fair. He may be a fanatic. He may be a fanatic about chess, but he's not violent, and he doesn't threaten people. So it's not fair to compare the dude's father with Rustam Kamsky. But I understand the point. So, Andy Quibbler, good luck. You're higher rated than me. We dropped 25 points in that guy. Yesterday, good luck, man. Yesterday, I like just left the game when I had like made in 2 because I thought my opponent resigned. And I lost a whole bunch of rating points. So that's not good to like lose to a 1300 in general. We would be a little higher, but as I said, I'm not competitive about my ratings here. Yesterday, Nella Jabuta held me to 2 draws. But as I told you, he's kind of a friend of mine. I don't want to like try to beat him on time in an equal position or something. So what are we doing here? We're gonna trade bishops, or we're gonna play bishop e7. I don't know. The jury's kind of out on this one. I feel like bishop takes d2 just kind of helps his development a bit. So this doesn't help mine too much, bishop e7, but it's reasonable. I'm just playing on feel here. So we're going to need to set up maybe some kind, either d5, which I'm not really looking forward to. Sandy Quibbler was talking about the Catalan yesterday. So practicality would tell me that it would be better not to give him a Catalan type of structure. If he likes the Catalan so much, we're gonna, try to keep it out of like proper Catalan structures. Now, I admit white has a space advantage here, but I think black should be fairly solid. What was I on Pascal's question about the way the brain works? What was it, guys? I can't remember. That's my whole problem. Ironically, I can't remember my question about how the brain works. Maybe that's my question. Where did my memory go? Alright, guys, let's just play chess. Sensible moves. Not like in taking on d4 a lot in this kind of structure. We need to play some useful moves. The ball's in white's court. It's the King's Indian. It's an old Indian. It's anything you want it to be. It's amorphous. We try to keep it amorphous. We'll try to be Karyakin. Karyakin also plays the Bogo, so he's our hero for the day. I don't know if he still does, but he definitely did at some point. Maybe not, though. Maybe it was a Nimzo I'm thinking of. Yeah, maybe he doesn't play the Bogo. I might be wrong on that. I think it was a Nimzo I was thinking of. Sorry. He could play... Everybody plays the Bogo, right? Who plays the Queen's Indian from time to time. I can't imagine Karyakin hasn't played everything already in his chess career, but I was misremembering something, so I take it back. We're not sure if Karyakin plays the Bogo or not. B4. B4. Yeah, I think at some point I should probably resolve the center. We could go like closed position with E4 now. I don't really like trading on B4 that much. Taking on D4. Bishop E6 is not on the cards. I've got to do something here, guys. Knight C6 is not good. Allowing B5. Taking on D4. Knight takes D4. Maybe we've got some kind of way to kind of clarify the whole position. Some weird trade everything and play C5 and turn it out on this on the C4 pawn with. Well, I'm not going to say everything. We can make a pretty weird situation here. Maybe C5. It's kind of anti-positional, but at some point. Tough decision for Quibbler. I mean, does he want to take with the knight or the pawn? They're both relevant, both reasonable, both completely different, you know. So, okay, pawn takes, and obviously I'm very compact and solid here. I was thinking about D5 as like a pawn sack, but just not a good idea. I mean, I can't really afford to do that here. Could do G6. Trading on A1. Not really sure I want to give him the A file per se. So, what about my bishop on F8? What's my bishop on F8 doing? Not a whole lot. Could play G6. Kind of weird position. White can get more space with B5. Played H3. Okay, that's a very practical move. Pretty solid. I don't have any exchange sacrifices here. What about just developing? Just developing. It's hard to play when your opponent... I mean, both of us are really just kind of not trying to commit ourselves to anything too dramatic. So controlling our own half of the board. Now c5. That's pretty committal and probably good by white. What about d5? I don't have it. c6 is interesting. c6. We could just ignore it and play knight f8, I guess. And he has this super nasty c6. Maybe it's not the end of the world. I don't know what else to do, guys. I need to get my pieces out. So c6 is possible. I don't think it's the end of the world for me. But it would certainly lead to some complications. I would definitely take on h3. I don't think that's that good for him. So queen d2, non-committal. Yeah, now we can play d5 at some point if we wanted to. Not really sure what we want to do. Taking on c5. I guess we'll do something. Fix the structure. We have knight e4 at some point with a queen on d2. Might be an idea. But d5 kills his bishop on g2. He's gonna have some play no matter what we do. Whether it's like b5 and c6 or along the b file. The sun is coming. I might have to move my webcam after this game. It's so unusual that we have sun in Budapest. I wasn't really prepared for that. The other day we had a huge sunshine on the webcam. You guys having a big debate about adult chess beginners. Knight f4. Knight f4. Knight f4, very solid. He's also got the knight back to d3 at some point. So, I don't know. Maybe c6 is a mistake. I could just play knight e4 straight away. Looks like white has kind of standard counterplay on the queen side with b5. But I have the feeling if we put this into like a Lee chess engine, it would be about equal. Let's see, knight e4. Knight takes e4, pawn takes e4 is interesting. Knight d7 looks kind of passive. h5. H5 is kind of interesting, securing that. This could be risky. H5, B5. Okay, we can do it. We can do it. I have a plan. I'm not sure this is best at all. B5, Queen C8. This was the plan. Then challenge his knight. Which way do we want to challenge it? With the more passive guy? Well, things are getting pretty weird around here. You take with the pawn. He took on c6. It's degenerated into like a bullet game. We do have 2-second increment. What if I take on e5 first? Not really. Well, he went there. Black's very solid here. Oh, I didn't expect that way. Well, it was pretty scary. I don't know, just kind of a time control disaster at the end. Thanks, Andy, for the game. I don't know, anybody was better there, but we had a little bit of a kingside edge at the end. Knight f3, Ghost Mind. Usually we're black against Ghost Mind. He's playing some weird games. That was a pretty intense game. I don't know. Maybe I was just worse structurally. Not clear. So, pretty tense kind of BOGO there. His ignorance asked me, oh, you're talking about Faya. Okay, Faya. You're asking about titles at a late age. Well, I'm going to try eventually to get back into tournament games. Ghost Mine allowing d5 here, not really recommended. This is a rated game, I've got to be careful. Yesterday I had an accident against the 1300. He was 2 moves away from getting mated with no stalemate chances. And I just disconnected from the board. I don't know why, I just thought he resigned. And they're like, no, you timed out. You're timing out. Gary Hurst says, I'm at adult beginners. That guy I am. For GM might be too late. I don't think it's too late, guys. Chess is much different than it was. It might have been too late like 20 years ago, but nowadays, with the plethora of information that's available, I would imagine starting at 20 is not too late to become a GM. I really don't think so. You obviously have to have a lot of time. Ghostmine, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a take back here. In what position should you get a take back? The last move. So, you know, it's not age that's the problem, guys. It's the responsibility that comes with age. If you're a 20-year-old that has no responsibilities, you can definitely, and you're starting to learn chess, you can definitely probably become a grandmaster, you know. The problem is that most people who are 20 years old have so many life responsibilities that they can't devote themselves to becoming a grandmaster. But it's much easier, and titles are easier to get now. I mean, you know, it used to be that you had to play in 2 round robin tournaments to just make a GM title. I mean, I think that that should stay because already there's like too many grandmasters, too many IMs. People that don't leave their own country and get the title. Nothing like personal against Ben Feingold. I know that he's a friend of Andy Quibbler, but Ben like never ever almost played outside the United States. You know, now he's an international grandmaster. He did play a lot of strong tournaments in the United States, but you know, I think that most like title players should have to play like international tournaments a little bit around the world to have a title. Ben is definitely a national grandmaster. He's definitely grandmaster. I mean, just this international thing. But I'm just using Ben as an example, Andy. So I like Ben, and he definitely deserves it. But still, I think titles are getting too easy to get because FIDE collects money every time that someone gets a title. I don't think that was always the case, but titles just mean money for FIDE. So the more titles they create, the more fees they can collect. And now like they're giving out titles like it's candy. It's just becoming too easy, and the meaning of the Grandmaster and International Master title seems like it's been kind of degraded a little bit. Ben played some tournaments, a few tournaments, very rarely, but I mean, a handful basically. Yeah, it's not like, but he didn't make his norms until later, as far as I know. Until FIDE kind of relaxed rules about stuff, but there's no question about Feingold's strength. I mean, he's even fairly strong for a GM. I'm just talking about rules as far as like, I don't think that someone should get a title if they've never played outside, an international title if they've never played outside their home country. Bishop G4. I mean, are you really an international grandmaster if you never left the United States? Ben did, sometimes play a few tournaments, but not very much. Not very much in the recent history. I don't think the players actually have to pay the fee. I mean, I think their chess federations have to pay a fee. Well, that might get handed down to the players. FIDE is just a disaster. World chess, FIDE, I don't even want to think about it. I'm sorry that Kasparov didn't get elected as president of FIDE, but he just couldn't deal with the competition from Kirsan. Just, paying people off was too much. He couldn't win an election. So I don't know. I kind of wish Carlsen would take an anti-FIDE stance, but he doesn't seem to be real political. I thought that Kasparov and Carlsen were kind of buddies, but I don't know what the latest is. It doesn't seem like we'll ever get rid of Ilumzhinov from FIDE. Pise Tillier says it's expensive for Ben to go international, having to play for 2 plane tickets and all. Sorry I even said that. Alright, well, the world is a better place now. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I finally had a good reason to do so. Guys, if you have anything to say that is hurtful to other people, I might ban you from the room. That's my prerogative. It's my stream. And racist, sexist, generally insulting other people, not acceptable, dude. Not acceptable. Mean remarks about people to hurt them, about their weight, or any other physical disability, definitely not cool. And so I reserve the right to ban people for hurting others. Knight F3. Hisit Nunes 1972 said, "Can't you get GM norms in the big U.S. Opens?" Yes, Hisit Nunes, you can, and I think that well, norms have to be available, somewhere. So as long as there's enough foreign players, absolutely. Although one of the rules that FIDE did away with is something that I think was a kind of mistake, is making it possible that all your norms are from open tournaments. It was a bit more interesting. Sorry guys, I have the hiccups. It was a bit more interesting when basically the round robin tournaments were required. I don't know, I think that open tournaments are a little easier to make norms in. So the saddest stroll said, but Ben was not watching the stream. Yeah, dude, but if Ben was watching, he'd be happy with me for banning that dude. King F2. No, the guy was just constantly insulting, and not just Ben, but me and everybody. And if somebody's going to be a troll and constantly insulting people, they're going to be banned. I'm totally. I was kind of waiting to ban that guy because he was just constantly acting like an idiot, and just mean all the time, you know. But I didn't have a really concrete reason to ban him till now. But after that, no problem. Knight to c5. Do titles matter? Good question. Good question, Andy Quibbler. Well, apparently they seem to matter. I mean, people talk about it all the time. So, I already got done saying a while ago that I think that winning tournaments matters. That's the Zlatko Alincic, my friend Zlatko's theory. I guess everything matters to a certain degree. The question is, like, how much? Titles don't matter very much anymore. I think they used to matter more than they do now. Alright, guys, let's try to go for this. Ghostmine playing really tough, but a piece down is kind of hard to... he's always tough to beat, though. You like giving me odds, Ghostmine, by playing the opening really strangely. Can I insult overfit people? Like those CrossFit and healthy food fanatics? Well, that wouldn't be as bad. But let's try not insulting anybody if we can get away with it. We can try to be positive here on the stream. I'm not looking to ban anybody else from the room at the moment. I really don't want to put my bishop on a3 here, guys. This hangs a piece. I guess we'll just block it up with the other guy. Then I'm gonna get something trapped. No. All right. Ghostmind, if you tried this hard in the beginning of the game, you would probably give me a really tough time. But it seems like Ghostmind only tries really hard once he has a lost position. Okay. I've got to take with the knight. Bishop c5. It was a pre-move. The Ghostmind was getting in time pressure. Ben is vegetarian, by the way. Man, everybody knows about Ben. The saddest troll, you know, Ben lost 150 pounds. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, dude, let's insult someone, you know, and you don't even know, like, what's going on in their life or anything. Whatever, man. So, it doesn't matter if he lost 150 pounds. We shouldn't be insulting people and making jokes at their expense. It's just like, you should learn that in kindergarten. DST, welcome to the stream. So, one more troll is banned from the room. Good riddance. D4, knight f6. G3. Alright, I'm going to play d5. I don't play a lot of double queen pawn with black, but against this particular move order, I did win a really nice game against Georgi Kashashvili once. Theoretically, this is like black's best way to play. I also played this way against Grandmaster, what's his name? Berber on ICC. Theoretically, this is the best way to play against d4 and g3. A very quick d5, bishop f5. Anyway, the titles thing, I just, you know, I think the titles have a tradition in chess, and that tradition is being chipped away at. But I guess, you know, in the evolution of the internet and chess and the world, titles maybe slowly will, like, you know, have less meaning. So maybe it's just a part of a natural evolution. Maybe just ratings will matter. There'll be no titles at some point. But as I said, winning tournaments kind of should be important. So castles e6 or h6. What is that opening called? You mean this opening with d4 and g3? Good question. King's Fianchetto opening? I don't know what you call it. But it is a kind of favorite of these hyper-positional, simplistic players. Like I mentioned, Grandmaster Georgi Kashashvili. What is his name? The Russian Grandmaster who plays on ICC with the account Berber. He's a very, very positional Grandmaster. I can't remember his name. So it's popular with these guys who like to avoid theory, have a solid position. I remember like beating Kashashvili in like 25 moves with black, and he was kind of stunned because you play this kind of system, and sometimes you play in your sleep, and you're not really expecting black to have any tricks, and sometimes they lull themselves to sleep by playing this very safe-looking setup where it looks like nothing can possibly go wrong. I was able to pull that off against Kashashvili once. So I gave up the bishop there, but obviously the h-file is good for me, and the bishop on g2, a very limited usefulness in this kind of position. So it's a solid defender, but not really that relevant otherwise. I'm still waiting for your top 10. You might be a troll list. Yeah, I should finish it. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll make a note of that. Top 10 troll list. You might be a troll if you have 7 accounts on Twitch. That's number 1. All right, we'll get to work on that. So thanks, Railbird. It's a good contribution. Yesterday I said you might be a troll if you have 17. 17 was that it? 17 Twitch accounts. All right, I'll contact David Letterman and see if he'll give me a little advice now that he's out of the talk show game. D takes e4, bishop takes e4. See, DST realizes that bishop doesn't have a lot of offensive firepower, so he's willing to even give it up, which I think is okay, but he does have issues with his king side here in this position. So this looks like a really good Caro-Kann for black. This also looks like a tactic position. Looks like a tactic position, doesn't it? One of the tactics problems, I was doing tactics problems yesterday on Lee Chess. I got my tactics rating over 2200 for the first time. Very proud of that. But there was only like one problem that stumped me for a while. Bishop g5. Yeah, it looks like we're really working on a tactics problem. What's a good rating, by the way, guys, in tactics problems? I don't know. Is 2200 good? I don't really have a clue. Queen d5 is the move I want to play, but I don't really have a good follow-up. You know, I play queen d5, plays rook e5, and there's no forced win anywhere. It's so lame to play like bishop e7 here. Let's see. Queen b6 is the other weak point. Well, that's a double attack. But yes, I don't know what he does there. Yeah, I guess I like queen b6. What would Salo Floor do in this Slav / Caro-Kann type of structure he's so loved? Well, my webcam froze in a smile. I look like, I don't know. I'm getting rid of that. I am definitely getting rid of that. That is too creepy. All right. Medium. We were doing medium. I guess it's default set for medium. I just left it there. They were okay. They weren't the hardest ones, but they weren't easy. Therefore, medium. Video capture device. Really creepy smile froze on my webcam. And now make it a little smaller than that. There we go. All right. Creepy smile video is not cool. Bishop takes f6. This is a potential pawn cube, guys. No, pawn diamond, excuse me. Pawn diamond on the king side. Very, very powerful pawn structure. You don't get this very often. And Caro-Kann is kind of one of those openings where you do get it from time to time. Pawn diamond is the hardest surface in chess. Let you see the board? Yeah. Railbird says he spends 30 plus minutes. Well, it's kind of like those really tough problems in the back of the Encyclopedia of Chess openings. Back in the day, where the CT art combinations that are now famous, that are produced by, you know, Konvetka or whatever, chess assistant, Maxime Bloch type of problems. I always like those problems from Bloch, you know, where both sides can do the problem. So there's a solution for both sides. That's really cool. You get double chess problems for your money with those. So we've got the ultimate Caro-Kann. What would Alexei Dreyev do? Bishop on f8, kind of biding its time. DST, though. He's not a pushover DST, rated 2199. I know, Calidus. It took me a while to realize it was a joke. So, get the pressure on the d4 pawn, but then what? Can I break with e5? Shouldn't I be attacking this guy on the king side? So we go with the pawn diamond. Can't hurt to advance the pawn diamond. I mean, imagine how difficult it is for white to get at the base of my pawn chain at f7. That is difficult here. Not seeing, you know, he could get a knight on e5 maybe, but otherwise, I don't see how he's going to attack the base of my pawn chain over there. And I have kind of free roll with the kingside. The kingside pawn storm could be a h file, g5. Yeah, it's looking promising. First of all, we connect the rooks. We get some pressure on this guy, and then it looks like we try to roll on the h file. Try to do like basically, I would call it like a principle of two weaknesses. Rook e2 very accurate defending the b2 pawn, by the way, guys. We do have e5 at some point, which would leave us better, but I'm not sure I want to go that way. I mean, e5 could end up like opening lines for him as well as me. Could just be a very simple plan, though. He's ready to play like knight c5. So I don't know. We're gonna go for a kingside type of stuff here. See if we can't win down the h file before he can really land any blows on the queen side. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Can you name the player who answered this question? I think I'd rather fight. I'd rather fight the. No, I'd rather fight the horse-sized duck. I mean, at least I can keep it. You know, keep track of where it is, and I'm afraid those 100 duck-sized horses would just like overwhelm me from behind and stuff. You know, like rats. I definitely want to keep my one opponent like where I can see him, even if he is bigger than me. I think I'd go with the horse-sized duck. The second part of the question, not easy to answer. It's scary, I admit, but I at least can keep him where I can see him, and and adjust as necessary. Andy Quibbler, it's a good question. I don't know who's responsible for answering that question. Now, Queen D3. What are you up to, Mr. DST? Oh, okay. Apparently, well, we could play Rook H3 here. Preparing to Duplazni. Duplazni in Hungarian. Duplazni Cal. I need to double. That's true. You could hide in a tree against the duck-sized horse. That's assuming there are any trees available. Peter Svidler. And what was Peter's answer? Did Peter go for the horse-sized duck? Oh, ducks. Yeah, no, they're duck-sized horses, right? They're not actually ducks, so they can't fly. They're just horses the size of ducks. I like this question a lot. So, what about this position, guys? Do we have anything here? Maybe F4. Ooh, F4. But I don't know, F4 might close the lines too much. I'm gonna try to get my queen into the situation a little bit. We have a tactics puzzle solution. But he can defend G3 now. No problem. He has lots of ways to defend G3. He said he would fight the duck-sized horses because it would be ridiculous. Every option is ridiculous there. But that definitely sounds like fun. Yeah, guys, so tactics puzzle. What's the solution? Think fast. Anybody know? Overloaded. And I'm glad I did the tactics puzzles, guys. See what tactics puzzles do for you. Immediately, you improve your game. But this is all made possible because of the pawn diamond. And what else can we do now? I'm afraid we don't have any exciting kind of exciting answer to finish DST off here. It's gonna have to be a little bit more like mundane from here on out. I have to do the mundane thing of just kind of grinding him down a pawn up. So welcome everyone to the stream. I didn't mention my YouTube channel, guys. I'm going to put up a new video today on video chess training on YouTube. Please check it out. And when you do check it out, please don't forget to subscribe and like. That's the best way you can support my channel, support my streaming here. So, knight c5. Finally, there look to be like some kind of combinational possibilities for white. What else do we have, guys? What else do we have here? Get rid of that guy, right? He's threatening queen takes f5. Speaking of tactics puzzle, well, queen takes f5, that would be giving up too much material, so he can't do that right away. Fortunately. But we're keeping it under advisement that queen takes f5 is an idea for white. But we're really hoping to get another guy on d6 and to finish him off. Finish him off at g3. This conversation insults animal rights. Yeah, but they're just animals in general. None of them are going to be hurt personally. Bishop f8. Nobody's going to insult my buddy Ben Feingold. Not on my channel. Okay, this is a desperate maneuver here, but a dangerous one by DST. And he could have some real threats here. I have to be very careful. So, run away. I guess we have to play Queen f7 to protect. This is looking... I'm just glad his other like rook is unavailable for comment here. Wow, with a sneaky tactical shot. But here, can I play like King b8? Don't have a lot of time. Well, I lost another pawn. Oh well. No big deal. We can afford that. We can afford to lose a pawn. It's not the end of the world. His rook is in a very awkward spot on c4 now. So I think we've got him. We've got him where we want him. He offered me a draw. No draw. No, you sir have just 2 pawns for a piece. I think he's joking. Not a good situation for white. Okay, he can play d5. It's free his rook, but it's lost. Position is lost for white. Speaking of Fiddler, what do you think of today's candidate matches? Yeah, Faya, I did mention it, but I'll go through it again, guys, for the benefit of everyone. Interesting matches today. So let me finish this off before I lose on time. 2 moves away from mate. All right, Giri Svidler, Anand Nakamura, Topalov Karyakin, and Aronian Caruana. Pretty good lineup today of games. And as soon as I win this game, I will go into a little detail for a 2-minute break from playing. We have another 45 minutes left for the stream today. Okay, guys, where is the mate here? Where is the mate? Maybe I just go after this pawn first and make sure he doesn't cause any trouble. No counterplay allowed. Yeah, we'll just take it off. So, DST, is this rated? Somebody challenged me to a rated game. This isn't the one. I think somebody earlier was a rated game. We are gonna trade your rooks off one way or another. Actually, what am I doing here? I'm just gonna move my king up. DST not resigning. You never won a game by resigning, as they say. Oh well, I wanted to get to the candidates conversation, but it's okay. We've got to finish DST off. He's got 1 pawn for a piece. Obviously takes a little technique. Thanks for the game, DST. Okay, so Giri Svidler is, I think, the closest game and most likely to be a draw. Despite the fact that both these players are willing to play pretty sharp positions, Svidler's not taking too many risks, and neither is Giri really. Although he theoretically sacked 2 pieces against Karyakin, in the game against Nakamura looked very, very hyper sharp. This is all already all home preparation or, pretty obvious stuff. So Giri looks like he's sharper than he is. He has everything kind of worked out. I think that game is pretty much a coin flip. Although Svidler has a +1 score in their lifetime, in classical chess, I think it's a flip. Anand Nakamura is the unbelievable Nakamura score of +6 against Anand. Lifetime with only one win for Anand in something like, I don't know how many games. Unbelievable score for Naka. So he's having a bad tournament. And he's black, but with that huge score against Anand, I don't think there's a favorite in this game. Even Nakamura, because of his lifetime score, might still be a favorite despite a bad showing so far, even being black. Topalov, Karyakin. Topalov has +4, but in recent years, it's been pretty close. So, I don't know. Topalov's playing badly. He's lucky to have 1 point. Karyakin leading the tournament. I guess it's kind of a coin flip. You go with who you want there. Maybe Karyakin. I could see Karyakin being a favorite due to the current standing in the field. And finally, Aroni and Caruana, which I think is one of the most important games for the tournament. Not that it wouldn't be important if Topalov beat Karyakin. I don't think it's that likely. Aroni and Caruana, these are the two guys who I picked as the two favorites facing off. And Caruana has played they both played very, very solidly. They're both trying to win games without taking a lot of risk. So I guess the safe money's on a draw there. But obviously, if one of them won, I'd more likely think it would be Aronian with the white pieces and a +2 score against Caruana. But anything can happen. As we've seen, people don't win a piece up. People miss obvious wins. A lot of sloppy play so far in the first 4 rounds. So DST said, could I have pushed d5 instead of rook taking pawn? Yeah, I guess you could. Alright guys, Mule Skinner, who's a new player here. Fabric of Cosmos and Azim Lisoitari. All new players, guys, for my stream. Svidler is going to win. Well, I think that it's within the realm of possibility. E4, C5. Stranger things have happened, Mr. Quibbler. E4, C5. It's Mule Skinner. Welcome to the stream, Mule Skinner. It's the Roman Gingiashvili Grand Prix attack. Or will he go old school with Bishop C4? This opening is, it's the Gingi attack. This is kind of like a line that it's easy to equalize with black, but very hard to play for a win. What was I saying now? I forgot. Knight h6 is interesting here, although I'll play like the old line. The main line, with d6. If you want something interesting, I guess knight h6 there. So, this is pretty boring. I had a bunch of games with people in this line in the past. And now castles. Castles is most commonly played. So I guess this has been played a few times since I last studied it. But I remember, like this was like a kind of innovation by me at one point, b5, because we have queen b6 and it prepares to fianchetto. It also starts a minority attack on the queen side. So, very strong move, b5. It's probably been played like 20 times since I introduced it in Blitz. Knight g3 now, that knight is our standard knight 3 square knight. It's not really well placed, but it just gets the job done and it defends e4. But I like black's chances a little better than white here in this kind of position. So we can go with immediate minority attack with b4. There are other moves we could play. Bishop e7, a5, queen b6 check. Chessverstad said, am I pronouncing that right? Giri will win. I don't know, man. I think that Giri will gain rating points. I've said this before. Yes, he will gain rating points. He'll finish in the top half of the cross table. Winning, I don't know. Somebody's going to win, though. That's the funny part. What makes this candidates tournament kind of fun is that there isn't like a clear favorite, It's not like if Carlsen was in the tournament and he would be the clear favorite. That's what everybody likes this tournament, and they're interested in it because of the fact that there isn't a clear runaway favorite, and that makes it fun and interesting. I like Levon, and I like his game, so he's my pick. But last time I was disappointed that Anand finished ahead of him, and I think that Aronian should have been a challenger for the World Championship already if he had been a little bit tougher. F5. Now maybe Aronian can get it back on track though. Play for the World Championship. Here's an interesting spot where I could play Bishop A6. Although it's a horrible bishop theoretically with the pawn on E4, it's kind of a important piece for white, I would think. So I don't mind trading this guy. We have such a huge structural advantage with this dragon formation, and white's pawns just like, look at white's pawns like all over the place. Literally weaknesses everywhere. We don't need to really do anything. Just kind of hang out, not get mated, and then start picking up pawns as we work, progress our way through the game. Valexia says, may I challenge you to a game? Everybody's welcome to challenge me to a game, and I try to play as many people as I can. If you do challenge me, Valexia, try to make it between 5 and 10 minutes with a 2 or 3 second increment. At the longer ones, the 10 minutes, you might include like just a 1 second increment to kind of make it not too long. But everybody's welcome to play. Jiri fan, yeah. I'm an Aronian fan. Aronian, I should say. But I still think Caruana has a lot of promise. So, but he's not played like the favorite so far. He's played solidly, and he missed a golden opportunity last round. Some weird oversights in this tournament. Topalov didn't play bishop takes f2 against Anand in the first round. Caruana failing to win a piece up against Topalov. Maybe Topalov just has an effect on the games. I don't know. Every game he's involved with, something weird happens. But bishop f4 now. Okay? Is there anything I can do to just like win any pawns? No. Not really. I don't want to develop his queen for him if I can help it. So I guess rook c8 is interesting here. Rook c8. Just dropping a bishop for nothing. I have to look at things like queen b6 check, but there's nothing really there. Hopefully I don't hang anything, so I don't lose on time. The function of the time increment. Yeah, I mean, so the game isn't decided purely by time when it's like rook against rook. I'd like to play a chess match with Olegas on ICC with increment instead of like 5-0 or 3-0. I'd probably have a plus score against the guy. If I could just not lose on time with rook against rook, most people would never lose to him. Yeah, structure here, but especially with the time, guys, with the commentary, it's helpful if I have the increment. It allows me time to just kind of talk about the games, and I do appreciate that. In general, I don't always play increment if I'm playing like casual games for fun. Traditionally, I never used to, but now I have more appreciation for it than I used to. Alright guys, I'm gonna just take this, and we've got a couple possibilities. Knight g4 locking down the e5 square, and hitting c3 looks pretty strong. The other one is like queen c7. This looks too strong. I don't want to allow him e5. Obviously we've got a very powerful dragon diagonal and additional threats of queen b6. So white is in bad trouble here. I think he made a mistake letting me take on c3 when I played b4. He should either take on b4 or play c4 and close up the center. But allowing me to isolate his c-pawn was a positional mistake. Yesterday I didn't get a chance to play you Perfect Champion. Yeah, please. Yeah, you're challenging me now. 3-0 though. Why did you challenge me with 3-0? Can you re-challenge me, Perfect Champion, with a different time control, like 5-2 or something like that? Do you mind, please? I'll put you on the top of the challenge list because that's where you're at the moment. But yeah, here we've got the exchange, so that should do it. No, we don't have the exchange. Yeah, we have the exchange. Knight d4, we fork his pieces, so this is a win of material. He might have some kind of grabbing my a pawn, but his structure is very bad in the resulting endgame. Yeah, challenge me again, Perfect Champion, to like 5-2 or 5-3, something like that. Because the 3-0 is too fast for me to play here on the stream. I mean, I could do it, but the quality of the games wouldn't be that good. And I wouldn't really have time to commentate. So there I thought that he had bishop e3, bishop takes a7. Okay, he resigned now. I have a piece fork with e5. Okay, now we do have that challenge back, 5-2. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, champion. So guys, we've got a half an hour left in the stream. You guys can watch the World Championship candidates. I'm working on my YouTube video this afternoon. Video chess training on YouTube. d4, knight f6. I'm working on a video about a hyper-accelerated dragon. It is hyper-modern. Hyper-accelerated dragon. Line that I've had some trouble with lately. A couple of facets of that. So I might have a kind of ongoing series on that opening. Alright, what do we want to do here? I'll do g6. I haven't played many King's Indians lately on the stream. They would share the world title if Anish would play Magnus. Valexia says, I don't often do time games. Yeah, you do need to practice if you're not used to playing with a clock. But you're welcome to challenge me nevertheless. So, you know what, guys? Lately, seeing this London system kind of becoming a viable, semi-popular choice for white with Magnus and Kamsky and whatever, I feel more comfortable with the King's Indian against the London system. You know, I feel it's actually, I used to think that the Queen's Indian setup was totally fine for black. But the more games I see, like Magnus win and Kamsky win with the London system, I'm thinking, like, why do these people even, play that? Well, they have to. If your repertoire doesn't include the King's Indian, after this move order, like d4, knight f6, bishop f4, or knight f3, you've got to commit to either e6 or g6. If you're like me and you play multiple openings, you can get away with it. But everybody is afraid to play the King's Indian now. But here's a question. Why doesn't Nakamura, like, back on this subject, why Nakamura doesn't play sharper openings? Why doesn't he play the Grunfeld? I mean, the Grunfeld has a very good standing. It would seem like it would suit his style. Or even, the Dutch is pretty extreme, I admit. He did play the Dutch for a while. But that seems like it would be good for him. Maybe it's going too far, I don't know. But I think Nakamura's just he's too conservative now in the opening. He's playing too much like Aronian type of openings. Queen b6. Bristol scale 7. You guys are talking about the French defense. I love the French. I did get a request to play some French here, and I have played a couple French games in the stream. But I'm obviously not a lifetime French player. I experimented with it in less than 10 tournament games in my career. Where I've got thousands of tournament games under my belt, and only you can count on 1 or 2 hands. I'm not sure how many games I've actually played the French. There was a very, very short period when I was toying with the idea. The Dutch is bad. Yeah, it's all relative. It's somewhat bad. But, it's not that clear, It's hard to play against a really strong player with black in the Dutch. But I'm not sure. Obviously, the Leningrad seems like black's best chance there. But I haven't checked the latest cutting edge theory. Wasn't very pretty the way the Kamsky crushed the young German GM at the Aeroflot Open. Falco Bindrich. He played here in Budapest in an IM. I think I played him in an IM tournament years ago. And he didn't strike me as being that strong, but he did manage to draw against me. But he played very, very hesitantly, very... I just played knight c6. Maybe I should take the pawn on b2 there. It's not necessary, though. So, I mean, I'm happy with my position. What's this? Perfect champion. What's this? You got some tricks. Oh, I see, like knight b5 comes at the end. I feel like I'm some kind of weird London theory preparation. So knight b5 is an idea. Okay. Knight a4 is an idea, too. Maybe I should have taken that pawn while the taking was good. I kind of pulled a Guganov. My latest video I did for chesslecture.com didn't come out yet. I can't tell you guys about that because it's not released yet. But I did do another Kamsky game for chesslecture.com, and it does feature a London system. Goganov. Knight to c3. I don't know, guys. All right. I'm not really happy about opening the e-file for white here. But actually, come to think of this, maybe I'm like giving white too much credit. I have knight takes d4, and he has a knight. What does he do? Actually, I'm seeing ghosts. Am I seeing ghosts here, or am I walking into some kind of deeply constructed even combination? All right, do your worst. I don't see it. Knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, whatever. Queen d2. Perfect champion. Okay, well, now he's threatening knight b5. So we have to be a bit careful. Knight d5 is interesting. Wow, knight d5. Knight takes d5, queen takes d5. Knight d5. Makes sense. I mean, I'm opening this long diagonal for my queen, bishop. How important is a coach for improvement in chess, says Jim Bowen. I would think it's pretty important. I mean, I did it. I got to where I got, which is semi-far. I'm not a GM yet, but maybe I could still be. Although I feel like I got somewhat close to GM, rating-wise. I think that having a coach is very important. It's like a question of like financial viability, I guess. You know, if you can afford to do it and you have the time, I think you should. I mean, it's definitely going to help. But you know, for most people, I think it's a question of time and money. I really am a self-taught player, for the most part. Although I have had help along the way, some isolated training with Gingiashvili and a couple other players like Jozef Pinter and Dvoretsky, but these were pretty isolated, you know, trainings, and I was already a master when I had these trainings. So, as far as reaching master level, I had no coach, you know, so pretty much self-taught. But I would have a coach if I could have. I remember, like, really nostalgic here, but I remember, guys, when I was first learning chess, it was the mid-'80s, late mid-'80s, and in Chess Life magazine, there was always this like little ad in there that said like Sammy Reshevsky teaches chess at his house, and you know, so Reshevsky was advertising, and I'm so sorry that like, you know, all those years ago, I could have actually had lessons with Reshevsky, and you know, I just didn't really push for it. You know, I didn't want to like have to spend a lot of money for lessons. But in retrospect, I mean, to have been able to take lessons with a legend like that would have been pretty cool. Alright, guys, back to the long diagonal. And I'm out of here. I mean, I am going to castle. If I can. If it's at all legal. Game per frame says broadcast has ended. Are you guys talking about what? Never mind, fixed. But I strongly recommend getting a coach if you can, Jimbo. And I'm going to lose on time. Not. But you guys got me talking and talking. And, alright, let's focus. Focusing. Perfect champion. Looks like Perfect Champion got himself some pretty good compensation there. Unfortunately, we're in dire time pressure. So I totally have to give back any and all material and any and all advantage I once had here. Just try to save my life. This is probably equal. He dropped a piece. Not equal anymore. Not all positions are equal. Oh. We're good with the mouse. We are like a mouse pro here. We are known for our mouse prowess. And, wow, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to like attack, minority attack on the king side. I have no clue what I'm doing. King g6. There is an increment, so it's kind of weird. It's really weird playing these semi-blitz situations with the increment. It just feels very strange to me. We finally have a plan. Our king is safe and we have a plan. That's a good start. Yeah. Alright, we got him. We got him. Just don't like lose on time with Maiden 2. Alright guys, I don't know if I'm not gonna be able to get to all the challenges, guys. I've gotta leave at 5:30, so Counter Sparks showed up. Haven't seen that guy in a while. Welcome to the stream, Counter Sparks. Fabric of Cosmos. That time control is too long. Azimli Soyatari. Can't play 11-0 Fabric of Cosmos. I'm going to play as many games as I can get in the next 2 minutes. But 11-0 is too long time control. Challenged me to 10-1, but we're getting late in the and I would prefer to play the longer games earlier in the stream. How did you get from weak master to IM? How long did it take you? Well, I was not a weak master for very long. I reached master around 1991 and the beginning of 1991, and well, by 2 years later, I was already like qualified to be a FIDE master. So that was one of the fastest progressions in my career. I mean, going from like 2200 USCF to 2300 FIDE was pretty fast. I played a lot. I think playing a lot. I played every tournament I could play in, basically, even skipping classes and stuff to go to the New York Open when I was a university student. So things like that, you know, I just like put it like #1 on my priorities, and that was my secret, you know, playing a lot as much as I possibly could, against the strongest opposition I could play. At that time in Boston, we had a very strong chess scene, and I was very fortunate for that. I mean, now with the internet, things are a little bit different, but if you live in a place where there's a really good chess scene, it obviously doesn't hurt. So, for me, getting from weak master wasn't hard. And then it took me a while to get the IM title, but logistic things, like in those days it was hard to play in an IM norm kind of tournament. So I had to go to Europe and save up money to travel, and it took me another 5 years to get the IM title because it just wasn't easy in the United States to play enough, IM tournaments. Even the open tournaments wasn't easy to make an IM norm. Now it's much, much easier. Here we could sack a pawn with d4 to break through, but I guess there's no need for that. Just play solid chess. Game per frame, you're talking about how much people, what is that? Normal rate for coaches. Now, people are talking like $30 to $50 seems about reasonable. I think 50 is on the higher range for IMs. I charge a little bit less than that, but some GMs charge as much as $100 an hour, like Kaidanov and Dvoretsky. Kaidanov, very high charging kind of GM. There are a lot of GMs who charge as little as like 50 or even less if they're like from another part of the world. Western grandmasters probably have to charge about $50 an hour to make a living. Queen c7, and I'll just play simple chess here. So Azim sacrificed his pawn on d5. That is not sound. I think I could have done d4, as I said, as a sort of pawn sacrifice to open the position because black is behind in development, but so if anybody's interested in training, send me an email. It's videochesstrainer@gmail.com. And just trading pieces is okay when you're up material. So here, Azim Lisotari neglected the center very much in his development. But for those of you that don't know, I'm not going to even play f4 here. I was playing poker full time for quite a while, so I haven't been that involved in chess training or playing chess for the last 7 years or so. Though I do have, I always had some students, and I always did play a little bit, but I didn't completely quit chess. But now I'm kind of back in chess like full time, so we'll see what happens, guys. I like chess. It's a huge part of my life. So Azim Lisotari playing pretty creatively here. I have queen check or bishop. No, queen check on b5 looks interesting. Black can get in h3. I'll just push past with g3. So not a whole lot going on. Maybe this is the safest move. I'll throw in a check, and then this will force him to make some sort of concession. Then we can play queen d1, and I'll play g3 if black plays h3, and just keep the lines closed. Andy Quibbler, yeah, you can always send me a private message on Twitch. Feel free. Anybody, who wants to talk to me, feel free. And I might not be able to answer you right away. It's actually, if you're on Lichess, it's better to send me a message on Lichess. Because it could just, I won't lose track of it on Lichess. If you guys want to do that, that's easier than on Twitch. I tend to lose track of the messages on Twitch a little bit. A little more permanent on Lichess. Feels a little more permanent. I don't know why. Queen d1. How much do you take for my training? Well, x7-3 AR. my standard rate for like a single lesson for 1 hour would be $35. But if people are willing to do 2 hours or more, or take lessons regularly, then you'll get various discounts. I'll charge less, the more people like commit to spending time on lessons. So I'm pretty flexible. I will negotiate about my rate, and though I try not to be unfair and give different people different rates and stuff like that, I will like reward people for being like faithful and taking more lessons and stuff. So I'm pretty flexible. I don't think I overcharge, and I think you get what you deserve. I mean, so yeah, I'm gonna trade queens here. But I think when you pick a chess coach, it has to be someone who you identify with. I definitely don't necessarily like. I'm not necessarily a good fit for every chess player as a chess coach. So it depends on your style, what kind of openings you play, various things. All right, Azim Lisari, I can't say it. Azim Lisoitari. A4, A5 looks like an awfully quick way to break through against him. His kingside play isn't fast enough. Queens are off the board. I've got A5. Open the A file with very strong pressure. If he plays A5, there's a very big hole in his position. There we go. I'm in Hungary, yeah. I'm an American expat. Is it possible to be a bullet chess teacher? I guess. Of course. I guess you can teach anything. Well, I'm wondering if I misplayed this here. Maybe I should definitely take with a knight. But I guess you can teach anything. But I mean, you can teach how to use the mouse quickly too. I mean, that could be a class on. I need to take a class. Somebody was talking about that earlier. What? It was the Saddest Troll, wasn't it? There's like a mouse training program or something. I need to take that because I'm terrible. I mean, ever since I started playing online chess from the mid '90s, right from the beginning, I was like terrible with the mouse, and I never got any better. So this pawn is very fast. Is there anything better here? Do I have better than knight takes b6 check? Maybe. Maybe. He can't really win the pawn on... No, he can win the pawn on d5, I see. Take first, ask questions later. Isn't that what this guy... what is this? There's a Dutch I am. Has a book like that? Something like that. Think first, or take first, think later. I don't know, man. It seems like kind of a... I don't know. That's not my philosophy, but... Sounds like a good philosophy for bullet chess. Take first, think later. Bullet coaching, we're not doing that at this time. But our coaches will get back to you with an update very soon. Move first, think later. Okay, thank you. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. There's got to be a mate around here somewhere. If there's no mate, I guess we'll just settle for winning a piece. It's probably a bad decision in general. A lot of games were lost by just winning a piece instead of like finding something better. Knight to d2 though, that's a blunder. I'm being kind of materialistic, but I'm looking at his clock about to run out. Alright guys, maybe one or two more games. Fabric of Cosmos, it's too long, the time control. I can't play you 11-0. Anju 10-0, not really enough time. I'd like to play, but it's kind of long time control with no increment. We're going to play Scheveningen as challenge me to 5-5. This is probably going to be the last game for the stream today, guys. Sorry for those of you that I couldn't accept your challenges, but we only have 10 minutes left in the stream. I can't possibly do a 10-minute game. Scheveningen just came in. Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name either. We usually have some Dutch players here in the stream, so they might know. Not. He played in the U.S. actually. The name is right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. It's so bad. Terrible with names. X73AR just sent you a request for 1 hour. Let's try this out. Price is fair. Well, you're welcome, man. I would appreciate, giving it a shot. Bishop G7, E3. So this is a pretty key line for me at the moment. I've been working on Queen C2 against Slav. I'm not claiming it gives white any advantage, but it seems as good as anything. And G6 is probably black's most reliable line. Now, theoretically, I was working on this with one of my students the other day, and I think we went over this. Knight A6 in the last position is a very complicated move. The most common move is probably castles, not bishop F5. And Scheveningen, I think we played this before, right? Maybe it was a simul game? I can't recall whether it was blitz or simul. Why so many Dutch people here? They just like me. Dutch people have a good sense of what's cool and what's not cool. And that's what they specialize in. So what can you do, Queen B3. So I think we were through this with Scheveningen once. Scheveningen, I don't know how to pronounce it in Polish. I'll pronounce it what do I say? The Scandinavian way? Is that right? Can I say that? Scheveningen. I think I forgot my preparation for I wanted to play with quick C5. It's always possible to play with quick C5. You can do it now. Do it now. Queen takes B7 and Queen B6. I think that's some kind of weird line, but I don't promise. I think there's sometimes you can even sack your rook on A8 Scheveningen, but I'm not guaranteeing that it works. It's probably best to be castled before you try to do something like that. Yeah, so this I guess is like theory. Queen B6, Queen B3, takes. I think we had this game before. Maybe some of the Dutch players can help me with the Scheveningen. I don't know. It's close enough. You're close enough geographically to Scandinavia to help me out. Actually, Shah's not here today. He's from Iceland, so he'd be able to kind of help me out. A takes B3. And we try to get in the quick B5. Or something. I'm not sure if it's better for me to play Knight C3 or B4 better first. Better. Move order. Word order. New word order. Getting a little loopy, guys. It's been about 2 hours, 25 minutes. I'm looking forward to getting some lunch and basically getting my mind on finishing my video about the hyper-accelerated dragon for my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. So we're going to get some lunch, get a break for a little while, and then go to work. And then hopefully today I'll put that video up. Yeah, the Scheveningen spelling as game per frame is the classic spelling there. Okay, Scheveningen took on B1. I was a little worried about that. That takes the fun out of it. I can never play B5 now. I think I should have played Knight C3. I feel like I've been cheated here. Whatever. These positions are tough. We have the two bishops, but with 16 pawns on the board, guys, it's not really clear how far the quote-unquote advantage of the two bishops really counts for. That's one of the things I'm learning more about recently. I've done some videos lately on Michael Adams games a lot for both my YouTube channel and for chesslecture.com. One thing that Adams really understands that I appreciate is this understanding of like which minor pieces are better in which kind of positions. He's kind of an expert on that, and I learned a lot by looking at his games. So now we've got him contained, and where to put my king here? King e2 opposite his rook. Should I do that? Yeah, this is the kind of game that you just like want to offer the guy a draw, even though you know you're better, because it's so closed and so, you know, if you win, it's gonna be like, it's gonna be like 100-move grind. I want to put my king on e2, but I feel it's a little weird with the rook on e8. Bristol Scale 7 says enjoyed the stream. It should have been working. Black is 100% fine here, absolutely. I don't think he's better. I don't know why he could be better. But he's definitely 100% fine. I don't want to... King d2 is interesting. But it takes away a vital square. I was just not sure I wanted to take away the square from where I want to put my knight. If he goes knight e4 check, and if I take, I was not really sure, you know, like I want to like create a conflict of interest between my king and my knight. Though I guess I could play like knight e4 takes, knight g5 in retrospect. My knight ends up in a very bizarre position out there on g5. So maybe it's tactically working somehow, I don't know. But in general, I don't want the knight and the king to compete for the same square. Knight h5 before h3, it's interesting. I have a lot of moves there, including bishop c7. But I think that's a topic for analysis, game per frame. Okay, so this is a little different now. What about the e4 pawn? I mean, how much of an issue is that going to be? Let's find out, you know. This was my original plan. He also could play e5, possibly there. So I don't know. That pawn looks pretty bad. No, he's got yeah, he's got actually g5 may be better. A better way for me to win the pawn. He's got knight d5 no matter what. Probably winning my b4 pawn. That's a good exchange for me though. b5 pawn or b4 pawn for e4 pawn. My knight on e4 is pretty good too. So. Although if I go there with g5, he's got knight takes f4. I guess I have to play this. That's fine. We just play this and wait. Basically, we've got f3 at some point as well. That would trade off the pawn, but it might be relevant in some positions. Okay, bishop takes, and so here, there's this huge fork at d6. So and a square. I mean, it's not just a fork. It's a very powerful permanent outpost. If he chooses to play e5, it's kind of dangerous. So white stands a little better here. I think, you know, no matter what. It's kind of just patent space advantage for white. But I'm sure, as you said, game per frame, maybe knight h5, maybe another move. I mean, there's so many options. I think black was perfectly okay, and even still now he might be okay. I play g5. Not the most flexible move in the world, admittedly, but we have threats down the h-file. We can, you know, move over here and target the b7 pawn with rook a1, rook a3, rook b3. So kind of principle of two weaknesses working for white here. Yeah, game per frame, I think knight h5 was a very interesting move, and it's a standard move in these kind of positions. I was expecting Scheveningen probably to go for that. It's by far the most tempting move. And now he finds an interesting plan, though, to play rook h8. actually beat me to the punch on the H file. Interesting. Do I have time for anything here? H4, H6, H5? Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Looks kind of tricky. H4, H6. What about, like, I don't know, guys. I guess I can play knight G3 if nothing else. I'd hate to have to do that. But very well thought out plan of counterplay for black here. Took right away. I was more concerned about rook H7, kind of threatening to double on the file. So I think in this ending we still have a small plus. Maybe it's not enough. It may be a draw, but at least we're not in any danger. And now he goes there. Okay. Tiny advantage to white, but one that could, you know, grow exponentially if black isn't careful. Last game, guys. We're going to close down the stream after this. But anyway, it was fun. Good stream today. Minimum amount of trolls. Now he's going for rook A8 or something like that. What's up with that, man? What are you doing over there? I think your knight's got to go. Your knight's got to go away from D5 because it's starting to get on my nerves. I'm going to redeploy to a new place and maybe allow me to expand my pawn center carefully because I have to watch out. You know, black will have counterplay along this pathway. No, I'm not committed to playing E4. Just an idea. We have a lot of ideas. Also, this pawn is pretty sensitive. So this pawn wedge I have doesn't give him a lot of flexibility. So I could trade rooks, take the open file, and then go back to knight c4, stopping b6. Continue to massage black with a slightly better position. But I'm not sure it's enough. Not sure it's enough. What about this? What if I... Yeah, what if I go this way? If I shift to point B from point A. Yes. Now king g2. Now there's none of that coming down there. This is guarded. Everything's protected now. It's time for this point to go. Where are you going? Where are you going? Knight b4. Hopefully he's just getting desperate. No. This is a key weakness on b7. He couldn't really get at my weak point on e3 effectively enough. I think we're gonna take this down, guys. Looks like he's lost. Rook h4. He's not actually threatening anything. So how do we make progress now? He's gonna sack a piece, maybe. Gonna sack a piece. Yeah. He knows it was a blunder. Still, he has a little bit of counterplay. Is he gonna sack a piece here? Is it really dangerous? Well, he's gonna sack a piece for a whole bunch of pawns, I guess. No, why rook g4 check? King f2 was safer there. think he's kind of fallen apart. I think he should have pulled the trigger on the piece sacrifice on f4. He might be able to scoop a lot of my pawns. Alright, Cheveningen. Good game, man. Thanks for the game, guys. Gotta go. And you, I'd like to play, but it's not enough time. Can you please lower quality? Talking about the stream? What are you guys talking about? You want more trolls? We got enough trolls. Keep the trolls to a minimum. Alright guys, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central European Time, for the next stream. Thanks for the game, Chevening. An interesting Slav. And I think you were probably equal, as Game Per Frame said, but maybe Knight H5. There are various plans. There's also a lot of plans that you can play in the opening, as you were talking about, with trying to play an early C5. Definitely investigate that. I'd like to continue this theoretical discussion at a later time. Thanks anyway, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.